They're pretty screens.
Yeah.
I like
Planning
them.
Commission must continue.
Is the mayor back? I haven't heard. He was still in the hospital Tuesday. Yeah. I was gonna tell Cory
Cool. Thank you.
when I got him. He looks so much. Then I thought, that's not something you want on TV.
Awesome.
All
All right.
Everybody.
Thank you for bearing with us while we had some technology issues, but we got that situated. So at 6:06, I will call to order the Thursday, March 13th Planning Commission meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so we've got a few things on our agenda tonight. I have one addition to the agenda for new business tonight, guys, that I'd like to put forth for the Planning Commission. I would like to add a short conversation about the bylaws relating to the Planning Commission that we can talk about in new business, if that's okay with everyone.
I would make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of the bylaws review at the end.
Is it bylaws review or just discussion?
Just discussion. Is there any additional discussion on the motion? I'll call for a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Approved.
I move the agenda be approved as amended.
Do I have a second?
A second?
Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, we have before you, there's some sitting on the side for anyone that would like to look at them. We have the minutes from November 24th. We had a nice Christmas vacation with the Oak Park Heights Planning Commission. Not a lot of construction when the ground's frozen. So is there any adjustments or edits to it? If not, I would ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
A motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
The motion is second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. City Staff Department, City Council would like to go first anything today?
Mr. Chair, Plan Commissioners, Mayor McCumber just wanted me to pass along that she recently had surgery. She's at home, resting, doing well. She'll be back here soon. She missed the meeting the other night, but certainly we're wishing her well here and a speedy recovery.
It's good to hear. Anything else from the council or staff?
Trying to think since we've met fire advisory, I can bring that up. We did meet the administrator and myself with the fire advisory committee. First one we had, it's been a number of years, got that started again, working on that process. We're looking to meet now probably every other month maybe, moving forward. Trying to think, Jacob, anything else? We haven't had anything major on the council. A good comment too, I testified for in front of the House Capital Investment Committee the end of February for some bonding money for design and construction of water facilities. So.
Yep. We're working in the background. Thank you for that, Councilmember Liljegren. We're working in the background on PFAS. As I think most of you are aware, we're under the federal maximum contaminant level, which is great, but we're also over the state's health-based guidance value number. And so we've been looking for outside money. We've been able to secure some grant funds for that. We are aggressively pursuing additional grant funds for that to try to limit as much as possible the impact to our ratepayers and our taxpayers here in the community. And as Councilmember Liljegren had stated, we're down at the Capitol testifying in front of the House Capital Investment Committee to try to find some additional bonding funds. And so I was looking at spots for outside money to help offset the cost. But it's a pretty big project, and that's not anything that's going to happen overnight, you know, as far as PFAS goes. But the main focus right now is on the pre-design efforts.
How's well 3 coming?
Yep, we're continuing on that as well. We have right now planned for construction to occur on our Well 3 project in late May, early June standpoint. There might be a little bit of work that occurs before that time frame. We'd anticipate that project would be done in summer of '26. So you got the well project, and then you also have the pump house facility. So it'll take a little while, but we're working on that in earnest.
Thank you. There's nothing else from staff or the city council. We will move on to the next thing on our agenda tonight. This is the time for the visitor and public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the commission with questions or comments on issues that are not part of the regular agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. So if you're here to talk about the items on the public hearing, we'll take those comments later. Okay, seeing no public comments, we will move on to the public hearing. We have one item before us today. It's from JACC Capital Holdings LLC. It's the 5846 Stagecoach Trail. It's the review for the conditional use permit for an additional parking for the 6-unit condo that they brought before us.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the commission, thank you. As you're aware, in October of last year, Mr. Rodanzo had applied for a comprehensive plan amendment to change the land use classification from industrial use to residential business transitional, conditional use permits for building height, parking and density bonus, and a review of the site plan and design guidelines for the project. At the December 10th meeting, the City Council denied the request for the conditional use permits, but did approve the comprehensive plan amendment. So the comprehensive plan now indicates that it's designated as residential business transitional. Since that time, they have looked at their plans. They've revised items related to the height. They have not changed anything related to parking. They have redesigned the interior of the units to meet the requirements for the density, and they've come forward then just with a parking conditional use permit to go over the required number of spaces that what the zoning ordinance requires. So again, the comprehensive plan was changed. The Met Council has put their blessing on that change, so our land use map has been updated. With building height, they did lower the elevator penthouse and now meet all the building height requirements. In terms of density, they did have a couple larger units that did have multiple bedrooms, had 3 bedrooms. Staff indicated that would not be acceptable to have that many bedrooms. You could only have 2 per unit to meet the requirements. So in those cases, they changed them to offices, took out closets. Again, a key to allowing for a bedroom is it has to have a closet. If you don't have a closet, it's either a dining room or an office. Not saying down the road someone could put in a warehouse or a wardrobe, but again, the definition, and I usually go with the Minneapolis definition of what is a bedroom and what isn't. And when the city of Minneapolis that has active rental says that if you don't have a closet, it's not a bedroom. So The building code is silent on that. Parking, again, they're looking at those 13 parking spaces. They haven't changed that configuration, and 6 is required. We have a somewhat interesting ordinance in that it does require, even if you go over the required parking, you still come back for CUP review. All the other items such as setbacks, the minimum floor areas, the landscaping plan, the grading and drainage, lighting, signage, trash recycling, mechanical equipment, all that meets the requirements. In terms of architectural design guidelines, site plan, again, this building does not need to comply with the design guidelines for commercial buildings, but does need to comply with the multiple family requirements related to roofs, facades, walls. This building does meet all that. We do have a materials board we can pass around and take a look at. But with that, again, all we're looking at is a conditional use permit for parking tonight, and you'll see in the report a list of conditions that are just our standard conditions for approval. Any questions at this point?
Got one, or you want to?
Yeah, I look at the plan, and I see a den with a closet, an office with a closet, and a bedroom with a closet. So why are those not?
You know what? I just looked at what Julie gave you, or the wrong plans.
Let's look exhibit 11 and 12 are out of date.
But remember, we're here to talk about parking tonight.
However, the revision of the,
Right, I can pass around, again, I apologize for that, I did not catch that with the, but there was a more recent set of plans, and I may have a couple copies of that.
well, that just drives the effect of density, right? So if he made his revision and then that null and voids some of the density questions.
Yeah, there is, again, we looked at it, let me just pass this around. We've had a number of revisions, sorry about this. Yeah. So you look at these, and you just find two bedrooms on each of them.
Oh yeah, those are totally different.
Yeah, they're different plans. You'll see the one bedroom, what was identified as a bedroom is now a dining room with a buffet built in.
Yep, and they got rid of the office, or the closet in the office, so he did make a change.
Questions regarding the plan? I do want to reiterate that we're here to talk about the parking tonight, guys. The job of the Planning Commission in Oak Park Heights, the way the Oak Park Heights Planning Commission works is we make recommendations to the city council. We don't make final decisions. What's before us today as a planning commission within our realm of responsibility to look at is the parking. Because the parking is what does not meet or match current regulations within the city policies. And that's what they're looking at for a variance. We've received some letters from the community that have expressed concerns around parking on the streets. And that's what we're looking at tonight. So I just want to reiterate that to everyone as we move forward, that that's what's within the realm of the Planning Commission's ability to comment on tonight and send forward to the city council.
But we wanted to clarify that. those
Yeah, we
are
want to clarify the
And I
plans have been
apologize
changed.
that the staff report had the wrong set of plans. Again, we got a series of plans in a matter of a week, and those were the final, so.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, yeah, we've had a lot of plans that have gone back and forth, and certainly we apologize for that error. But yeah, the plans have been updated here as outlined by City Planner Richards.
And we'll make sure that this final set of plans go to the city council.
Okay, so we're gonna make sure those get to the city council for the city council when we send it forward, if we send this forward. Any other questions, Mr. Kramer?
Yeah, so what Scott provided us, we should just ignore? Because he says, he wants us to talk about the idea of whether such larger buildings can be aesthetically integrated into a lower density neighborhood.
That was really related to the comprehensive plan aspect, and that's been.
So this is, or what about the conditions that you have in here? Are those still viable?
Sure.
But the conditional use permit criteria are not viable or not?
Well, they are because you have a conditional use permit for parking.
Okay.
More questions for Mr. Richards? Does that answer your question, Mr. Kramer?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Did we have the applicant here to speak or not? I don't think so.
I don't see a applicant's representative tonight. Oh,
Yeah.
we do. Sorry.
Yeah,
Open the public hearing.
I'm gonna, if I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing at this time.
Make a motion, we open the public hearing.
A motion. Do
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those, any discussion before we open the public hearing?
Who
Okay.
made that second? I'm sorry.
Tyler.
Yeah, we did.
Do we have no additional discussion? Hearing none, I'd call for a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The public hearing is opened at 6:21. At this time, if anyone from the public would like to address the council about what's before us tonight, please feel free to come up to the podium, state your name, your address, and try to keep your comments to about 3 minutes. That would be great. And then if the applicant would like to address us at the end, that would be awesome. We do have, just for official notice that has been reviewed, we do have 3 letters that were received. One was received from Stephen Paulson that the committee reviewed, and they're long, so I'm not going to read them. We have one from Carissa Stimfeld. Apologize if I mess any names up. So I have one from her, and then I have an additional one from Brenda Paulson that have all been distributed to the Planning Commission, have been reviewed, and will be sent forward to the City Council as well.
Hello again, Commissioners. My name is Carissa Stimfeld, and I live at 5856 Stagecoach Trail North. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak on behalf of our historic neighborhood again tonight. I am curious as to how we find ourselves here again, as the revised condo plans still do not address all findings of fact from the first permit and plan review denial, and still conflict with conditional use permit criteria found in section 401.03.A.7 of the zoning ordinance. While I appreciate Mr. Randazzo's effort to maximize on-site parking, given our neighborhood's constraints like winter parking bans, narrow streets, and limited street parking, the core issue is the provided parking is still insufficient for a building of this size and its occupants, including visitors, in an area that cannot support unchecked growth. Increased traffic will overwhelm and negatively impact the neighborhood's livability. Just because a street can physically handle more traffic doesn't mean the neighborhood or the residents can. The resulting increased traffic, overflow parking, and corresponding light and noise pollution would disrupt the character of the adjacent historic low-density neighborhood and threaten its health, safety, and welfare. 13 additional vehicles, plus the daily utility trucks for deliveries, mail, garbage, and plowing, entering and exiting the lot at slow speeds will worsen unsafe conditions on Stagecoach's blind curve, increasing accidents and creating more congestion at the 58th Street intersection. While the recommended speed limit for southbound traffic is 25 miles per hour, most drivers take the curve at 40 or more, with motorcyclists and souped-up cars treating it like a drag strip. In winter, I've witnessed and assisted multiple vehicles that slid off the road in relation to the curve and this lot in icy conditions. And the lack of sidewalks or a crosswalk connecting the existing neighborhood to 5845 Stagecoach makes it dangerous for condo visitors to park and walk in the streets, especially in darkness or bad weather when visibility is poor. Before approving a conditional use permit for parking, the neighborhood requests a traffic study to assess the impact of adding a 6-unit building with 13 parking spaces, particularly on Stagecoach and the surrounding streets, including 58th, Penrose, and Peller. During his campaign for Bayport Township Town Supervisor Seat 2 last fall, Mr. Randazzo told Voter Guide that he would advocate for policies to preserve community character and protect property values. I urge him to uphold that commitment in our beloved historic neighborhood in Oak Park Heights, the city that he too calls home. Thank you for your service and support of our community.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hello, Chris Grubb, 5870 Stagecoach Trail. I have many of the same concerns that Carissa has. The blind intersection there is often a problem. I have young drivers that have almost been hit numerous times pulling out on Penrose onto what's now 60th because you can't see around the corner. Adding additional traffic, adding additional parking in that area will cause those same problems, only exacerbated. In addition, when they do construction on this project, if they do construction, there's no room for any of those construction vehicles to park since the entire property or most of the property is going to be filled up with construction. And then I did have a question also for the commission. If, in the plans, he took out the closets, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be, density issues. So what happens if the density of these apartment complexes exceeds the allowable limit?
We can't control if there's a bunk bed in a room or a single bed in a room. It's no different than a single-family home.
So then logistically and common sense would tell us all that just because you took out the closet in the plan doesn't mean that there's not going to be. And when I bought my house, it had very few closets. But
I do want to remind the public that the plans that were distributed are not the final plans that were put forth, so we do apologize for that, and those will be made public.
okay. But I mean, we still know that the common sense of these apartment complexes, they're going to have 3 bedrooms. They'll make accommodations to put more beds, more density into these places, again, increasing the traffic in this area and causing more safety hazards for the area. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for you at this point.
Sure.
Go ahead, Mr. Kramer, real quick.
There is, what he's saying is correct, right? I mean, there's no way the city doesn't go and check on people and say, oh, you have too many people sleeping in.
Right. I mean, you could have,
It's a,
in a bedroom, you could have 1 single bed, or you could have, 4 bunk beds. It just, something, once it's built, we really have no control.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julia Nottingham. I live at 5838 Stagecoach Trail North with my husband and my 2 children directly across from this property. I'm asking you to please vote no on this application for conditional use permit for building parking for the proposed 6-unit condo at 5845 Stagecoach Trail. The proposed condo is too large for the lot. The request is for 13 spots to be approved, and that's not even enough to cover visitors at this condo. If residents of the proposed condo have visitors, they'd be parking on 58th Street on my street, and then they'd be walking across a county road that has a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. That does change to 25 if you come from the other side, but it's a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, and there's no crosswalk. That's just not safe. Oak Park Heights also has a winter parking ban, so condo owners would have nowhere for their visitors to park in the winter. The proposed driveway for this condo is directly across the street from my home. I'm personally concerned about the light and noise pollution having 13 cars right across the street from my home. I understand that this property was purchased and that this developer, and that this will be developed, but it's just too large for the lot that he purchased. This condo plan has no green space for no pets, no landscaping in the front of the building, no extra parking for visitors. The design is too modern for our historic neighborhood, and it's also an invasion of privacy having all these glass windows and balconies facing our properties. If the structure was smaller, it could support the parking needs, as well as landscaping in the front that would allow privacy for the condo owners as well as us. I still do believe that the driveway is just going to be very unsafe with the speed limit and the sharp corner. I am unsure how to address this concern with his need to develop on land that he purchased. Thank you for your consideration and hopefully your support to vote no. Can I turn this in to
Yeah,
be given? Thank you.
I'll gladly take that and make sure it gets to the city council.
Handwritten and everything.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no, I will make sure that gets to the mayor. Do we have anyone else that would like to address the planning commission tonight?
Hi, I'm Brenda Paulson. I wrote a letter, 5817 Stagecoach, or 5718, sorry. Anyway, well, just to address the parking, I've already put a lot in that letter. So for me, I'm a little further away, but I mean, if people wanted to have a big party there, if they were to come down my street, it's narrow. We're at the end of a dead-end street, and I wouldn't want to be blocked in, so that would create a problem for us that way. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say in addition to the letter I wrote.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Pam Patrick, 15365 58th Street North. So I have a question. Is there parking on Stagecoach?
Yes. I believe it's not marked. When I drove through it and looking at this property again, there were cars parked on the east side, and I did not see any no parking signs at Stagecoach. Now, right adjacent to the unit, the shoulder narrows, so it'd be difficult, but further to the south, appears as though there's parking.
It's by the
and
prison.
I believe, pardon me?
It's by the prison, I believe.
But even just
towards
just
the
to the
power
south
unit.
of this property, I did see a car parked there, and I did not see any signs. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I
Yeah,
did.
Mr. Chair, we've reviewed it and talked internally about it, and we haven't seen any no parking signs that are on there, so City
Correct,
Planner
but-
Richard's comments are correct.
Yep, that's what I would agree. I would concur.
But my understanding was when the county redid Stagecoach, and they were relocating mailboxes for these residents that faced Stagecoach because it was unsafe for even the mail truck to be delivering mail in the mailboxes.
I can speak to having when I moved in.
I don't, we don't know what the
So I
county
guess-
did. That's beyond our control. It was beyond most of our time
it's
on
not
the commission.
signed, so-
It's not posted.
It's not posted.
And it's not an Oak Park Heights road. It's a county road.
Correct, but what happens if the county comes through and says there's no parking on Stagecoach, and they're placing this building there? And now, in the meantime, during construction, they have all of the construction traffic. I mean, it's even like up here on 36 at Greeley Street, where they're building the new car wash. The workers are parking in the old Devil's Advocate parking lot because there's no parking on site at the construction. So the parking situation is definitely a major concern, and the safety issue of the speed of people coming around the corner. So it just would be interesting to know what the county's position is on that.
I would recommend you reach out to your county commissioner and ask that question.
All
'cause
right.
we can't answer it. I'm
Well,
sorry.
I didn't know that you couldn't answer that question,
Yeah,
so.
no
now-
worries.
Now I know, so, Ernie, thank you.
Do we have anything else? Is the applicant here? Thanks. Do you have anything to say? I'll let you speak.
Hi, I'm Sherry Aarons with West Professional Services. I'm a civil engineer working with CJ on this property.
Lean in just a little bit so we can hear you.
Pardon?
Come a little closer to the mic so we can hear you. A little hard to hear, sorry.
Okay. Sherry Aarons with Westwood, civil engineer on the project. 12701 Whitewater Drive, Minnetonka. I'm just here to answer any questions. I do know, Scott has iterated that the required parking is 6 stalls. They do want to have adequate parking for their residents and guests, so that's why we're asking for the variance for 13 stalls. But I don't have anything else to address, but if you guys have any questions.
Does anybody from the commission have anything for the applicant before we close the public hearing?
Do you know about parking on Stagecoach?
No, I don't.
You don't know, or you?
I don't know any county ordinances, no.
I guess I have a couple other questions, and you're the person apparently to ask. When I read through the materials provided, it talks about this being a great addition. It says, this modern, elegant living experience while embracing the natural beauty and charm of the surrounding area. The development seeks to balance sophisticated architectural design with the tranquility of riverside living, making it a premium residential choice in Stillwater. So could somebody tell the owner that this is Oak Park Heights, not Stillwater?
Yes.
No, I mean, I think, to me, that tells that there are some taking advantage of, or, we want to call it Stillwater, but it's really an Oak Park Heights because Stillwater has a better name, and that just does not feel good.
Okay.
That's a. The other thing is, I look at this, and I'm certainly no architect, but I look at the building, and it talks about it embracing the natural beauty and charm of the surrounding area. I am wondering where that comes from.
I'm sorry, I cannot address that. I didn't write that quote. That came from the owner. But I think they feel that, it's a nice-looking building. It's overlooking the river, that the potential residents there would enjoy it.
No, I have no, and I don't think anybody's complaining, and we're only dealing with parking, but a conditional use permit about the parking. But it seems to me that in order for us to approve that, we're supposed to look at the impact of the overall, with the parking, the overall building on the neighborhood. And when you drive through there, you certainly don't get the sense that blends with or adds to. It would certainly seem to me to change radically the character of that small neighborhood. At least that's my.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I think I've been oblivious, but the main parking is underneath the building for people?
It's in building parking. There'll be a garage door, so there's.
So the 13 that you want us to approve are like visitor parking, correct?
Well, there's 7 stalls inside the building, I believe, and 5 stalls outside.
Okay.
That'd be 12.
13, okay, well, there's 13 total.
13 total.
9 inside and 5
9, yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
I had to look at it, I have it right in front of me, so.
And there's bike parking.
Yeah.
And there's bike parking.
And there's bike parking. Yep, and some green space.
Does Westwood intend to do a certificate of survey and file that with the county?
If required, we can provide that service for the owner. I believe he had a different, Westwood was not under contract to do the survey. He had a different surveyor do that.
Oh.
So I think the owner would, if the owner is required to do that, he would do that.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
If we have no additional comments from the public, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
I have a motion and a second from this side of the room. Julie, who's watching this, so you make notes. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing is now closed. All right. So let's talk about what we have before us, guys. What we have before us is a proposal to look at this. From staff, we have some recommendations for Mr. Richards. But really the topic at hand today is not the design of the building. The topic at hand is, does it make sense for the additional parking to be sent forth to the city council for additional discussion and conversation and approval?
I don't think you can separate the building from the parking. Without the building being the size that it is, you wouldn't need the parking that, or the conditional use permit. And I keep coming back to what Scott quotes, the conditional use permit criteria. Whether the use will tend to actually depreciate the area in which it is proposed, the impact on the character of the surrounding area. And I think both of those things, with the addition of the additional parking, I think neither the criteria for what's required of a conditional use permit, I don't think are met. I think it would depreciate the value of the neighborhood, and it would.
So I have a question, Mr. Kramer. What was on the property before? You're probably the only person on the commission maybe that remembers what was there.
There's a building, like, and then it got blown down and damaged. It was like I thought it was a repair, like a mechanical repair shop.
Landscape, yeah.
So how long?
Landscaping? Yeah.
So how long did that building sit there damaged
A couple of years?
before it was
I don't know.
removed?
I didn't pay attention to it when I drove past it.
But years, right? I mean, I'm just saying, asking. It was years. We had a blown down, damaged building on that property for years.
I don't.
What does that cost at roughly?
So I think putting something there makes sense, right? Like it's going to improve values in the neighborhood, is my opinion, because you're going to have something there. When we had something that was negatively influencing the values of the property for multiple years.
So you're saying anything that they built there would improve values?
Well, normally in a community, I think if you add buildings on properties that had buildings on them that look nicer and make sense to fill the space, it's going to increase your property value. Usually that's how neighborhoods work. I don't know if this building per se is exactly what I would personally build there, but I don't see
think
it
that's
negatively affecting.
It's not our decision to make.
Correct.
Yeah, you know.
I don't see it negatively affecting the property values of that neighborhood. Personally, that's my personal opinion.
But part
I mean,
of
I
value
agree.
is also the view, right? So when you look at
Yeah.
houses up the hill, it might be 1885 house, maybe derelict, but with the view they could hit a couple zeros in their price tag because they've got a view of the river. Well, putting a building like this would block that for the people that are here that would be across the road from it. So I would challenge the fact that something is better than nothing, yes, but this would have the negative impact on the neighborhood.
But didn't they adjust, Mr. Richards, their height requests were within the height requirements of the city now?
They did, yes.
Which the previous building would have been there in the way anyway. There was something there, and it was apparently a shop or something.
Metal
I don't,
building.
before my time, right?
One story
Yeah.
shed, yes.
And this is going to be a 2-story building.
Three.
3.
2.5.
Yeah.
It's in the hill.
Yeah, it's being built into the hill.
This might be a little too deep, but did people do like impervious surface calculations to see if drainage could impact anything in a negative way?
What about their wet space, their runoff stuff, yeah?
The city
adding
engineer
13.
has reviewed the utility plans and found that it was adequate, so.
Okay.
What they're providing.
And that's why we pay him, because that's his expertise.
This one is definitely a loaded conversation, like Mr. Kramer mentioned. There's things to be cognizant about under the criteria listed in the 2 points you mentioned beyond the parking. It's really hard to break the aspects apart.
Just seems like the whole property is a building and a parking lot now.
I think you really just have to look at the issue at hand, and I think the chair has emphasized that very well. Is it appropriate to increase the number of parking spaces? And that's really what we're looking at this.
Then we should ignore the conditional use permit criteria.
Well, I would argue in looking at those criteria that to just build 6 spaces may have detrimental impact on those conditional use permit criteria. Adding additional parking is positive. That's the way, again, my opinion.
I interpret, go ahead.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. City Planner Richards, so if they would come in, revise their plans, and they only would do 6 parking stalls, then they could do that by right, correct?
They could come in and get a building permit.
So I think that is just as consideration for this group here. They're asking to do more parking. So I want to make sure that we're thinking about that.
And I want to emphasize to the commission, and I appreciate Mr. Richards and staff, the applicant's trying to add more parking spots. We've heard the concerns of the community. I realize that we're not here to talk about the design of the building. We're not here to talk about the way it looks. We're not here to talk about the color. There's definitely some concerns around construction, and I know staff has had some conversations. We'll probably continue to have some conversations about keeping construction equipment off. XL's got some place to park cars when they're working. There's some opportunities to keep that headache out of the community. So I think those are conversations that will take place. But we're here to talk about doing something to alleviate some of the concerns that were brought forth, which is to allow more parking spots than what he can go build a building on today.
Can I vote?
Why does the building have to be so big?
Sorry. Sorry. At this point, the public hearing's closed. So,
Does anybody from the staff know, has the contract or the owner ever sat down and met with the community about either this or any other, the parking or any other issue?
He was here in the
last time.
November meeting, but he had nothing to say.
He left immediately before.
public, thank you.
He
I mean,
answered
there's
questions and
Question
stuff.
for the staff.
Sure.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, not aware that a community meeting has occurred.
Thank you, staff. Thank you, Jacob.
I think, yeah, to your point, they're actually adding parking, which will alleviate street parking, so it is addressing the potential concern of going around the corners, getting people off the roads because they're fitting them under the building and not on 58th or Penrose and things like that. So it is a silver lining in their ask to keep it on the property.
If you could just build a house there. I'm so sorry, but why?
Okay, I'm gonna ask you one more time.
Sure.
The public hearing's closed. Thank you.
I'm ready to vote.
Do we have any other discussion before I call for a motion? I would entertain a motion if I have a motion from the commission.
I move that we deny the conditional use permit request.
I have a motion to deny.
I second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to deny the request put before us today for the additional parking spots, which is all the conditional use permit applies to, is the additional 7 spots.
Can I ask one question?
So,
I just got to ask.
discussion, yep, let's talk discussion.
Okay. So he could build this without he could go ahead and build this without the additional spot. He could just go ahead and do that, right?
With a building permit, yes.
With 6 spots.
Nothing with us? or-
With 6. With 6 parking spaces.
That's
Well,
correct.
why would you want that parking on the street? He's giving you, I mean, if it's going to be built, you want those parking spots on the property. So.
Correct.
We can speak freely in this moment?
Oh, yeah, we're allowed, this is
Because
discussion.
it could change his plan. It could reduce the size. He could, maybe change it some way. By giving him the 7, more people will be on the property.
But he can have the current, with 6, he would not have to change his number of beds and units and whatever. It's as presented, even though ours is out of date. 2 beds, 6 units, 6 spots, 1 spot per unit. Nothing in the livability of the building would change.
That's all within his right to construct.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
No, I get that.
Yep.
I'm against it.
No, I get that. I will call for a vote. Staff, could we take a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Husby.
I would disagree with the vote.
So you're voting nay for the motion at hand, to deny? Or you're voting against the motion?
I'm
to
voting
deny?
against the motion. It's like a double negative, right? He's voting against it and I'm voting against the against.
And does, for the commissioners too, does everyone know what, we should step back? what we're
So let
voting on?
me clarify what we're voting on. So all those in favor for denial of the conditional use permit signify by saying aye. So Husby, you
Nay.
I'll keep going if you want, Mr. Chair.
keep going, please.
Commissioner Kramer?
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Van Dyke?
Yes.
And Mr. Chair?
I vote nay. So we have 3 for denial, 2 for approval. Okay?
Double negative is so
I voted against. I voted with him. I didn't vote for.
Yeah, you voted for denial of the, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the conditional use
So-
permit has been denied.
So the conditional use permit, for the additional parking spaces is being recommended to the city council for denial.
Yes.
That is what will be happening at the city council meeting that happens on the 25th. So 2 weeks. Okay? I would recommend the public attend that meeting.
At 6 PM.
6 p.m. Okay, at this point, guys, I think I'm going to take a 5-minute recess. I want some water. If you guys would like to stay for the rest of our agenda, you're welcome to. If not, you're welcome to leave. We will be back at 6:56. Okay?
I would tell all of you people, since you're interested in what's going on at the planning commission, they're always looking for people to both volunteer to be on the planning commission, so you might.
There's an open application opportunity.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Come and be on the commission.
So if you want to be up here, look into the city's website.
Yep.
Or the Parks Commission.
Yeah, or any
got more to
Another
offer.
one, yes.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for.
But we're not the planning commission, we're not the city council.
You're on break. I just wanted to give you some information. You were asking about what was building torn down. So I grew up in the neighborhood. So 60 years ago, there was a service station there.
I heard about the oil and
The service station was there, and then after they went out, then Chavis Construction went there. So it's always been commercial. And then it was vacant for a number of years, and then that's when A1 went in. So, yeah, just kind of a history heads up as well.
Do you have, okay, so do you guys have problems with people parking there and dumping trash there and stuff?
From
Because,
what I understand, yes.
because that's what we were getting down at, I live on the other side down towards that circle, and there used to be parties down there. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But, I mean, it's like anywhere you drive nowadays, I mean, if there's an empty lot, you see trash that
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
continuing to
yeah.
add up and add up and add
Yeah.
up. So
I don't get it.
Land reclamation issues, like if
people
they
don't want to be responsible for their own stuff.
Because if they dig and they put that thing, well, they're gonna have to do a.
But anyway, I just wanted to give you a little bit
to consider for a one-year special appointment, so I think we should probably address that first. Does that make sense, staff?
Yeah.
So I guess my first question is, would you be willing to stay on for another year?
Sure.
Okay, that's an answer. Then my second question is, I would entertain a motion to approve her staying on another year.
I would like to make a motion to approve her staying on another year.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion?
Thanks for the additional sacrifice.
Thank you.
All right. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's step
Within the
one.
minutes, it was unanimous.
Unanimous. We all agreed on that one. Okay, so next, number 2, we need a chair and a vice chair. I would be willing to continue as chair if you guys want.
I like to be the vice chair because I like to be bossy sometimes, so.
There you go.
What's this sometime?
Oh!
You can do that in one motion.
So we can do that in one motion. My only concern is Janet only has 1 year left.
I think he'd be good.
So I would like to get back on the correct terms, because the chair and vice chair are 2-year terms. So I'm just explaining how this works.
Yeah, no.
So if you elect me to chair, I'm on chair for 2 years, which would be my end of my term. I'd be off. It would balance the chair, vice chair, so they're back on the correct schedule, so we're not doing partials all the time.
That's fine. Partials are fine. It's not like a big deal.
Well, I'm just
vote again.
I'm just throwing it out there so we can.
So
you guys
Tyler's
decide.
got 2 years? Tyler's got 2 years?
Yeah, I'll be
Tyler's got
done in
2 years.
Well, then just do somebody's got 2 years, I don't.
Right. Okay. Is there any discussion?
No.
I would call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Unanimous.
passes unanimously. All right. So moving on to the meeting and council representative schedules. I've had some discussions with staff, and I think staff has had some discussions that a lot of times there's no reason for one of us to be at the city council meeting. And I think we can make those decisions based on the topic at hand versus us always just, well, you have to go, right? Because you go and you don't have to talk about anything, right? Anyway, so we would like to propose eliminating the schedule for the city council meetings and then leaving it up to as needed basis. And then we're all always welcome to go to city council meetings if we want. Mr. Kramer, we really appreciate you being there every time. So, but instead of having a schedule that half the time doesn't work anyway, we would like to recommend that we just talk about it. If we need one of us there, one of us make sure they're there. Otherwise, we rely on staff, Mr. Richards, and we're all always welcome to go. So I need a motion to.
I want to ask Mr. Kramer, so do you, I mean, is that kind of a bridge between our two?
I was chair when we started doing this, and the rationale was not that we would talk, but that it would give the city council a face before them of the planning commission. And it would be nice, I think, if all the commissions had a representative at each of the council meetings. I think it gives more cohesiveness, or lets the city council know that, you know, we are there to support them or to
Answer any questions.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's the intentionality of, like, we haven't had a meeting in 3 months. So in the last 3 months, there hasn't been a definitive need to go to speak potentially on a topic. So to Blake's point, those 3 months, it doesn't make sense to have a representative when there's nothing to speak to. Sure, there's representation as a whole, but there's no topic to talk to. So, like, why do we need a body in the room? So I get both sides.
So I guess my recommendation, which would be that we eliminate the schedule. We're all always welcome to go to the city council meeting. And if there's a topic like there was tonight, we can talk about who's going to be there. I would make a motion that we do that.
So no schedule.
No schedule.
I second that motion.
Do we have any additional discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
That one's not unanimous. Okay. The next topic we're going to talk about briefly is you all received bylaws in your packets this month. There's a few things in the bylaws that will need to be adjusted and just refreshed. So I would like to have a motion that we allow staff to review the bylaws and bring them up to date with current policy and practices.
You have a list of items?
Yeah, what is the thing that
Yeah,
they need
what
to
are the things
address?
There's a few specifics, but I would prefer to just leave it open for staff to go over it with a fine tooth comb.
Just really quickly too, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, we talked earlier this week with Mr. Chair and our staff, found a couple items that could be corrected. There was one about requiring that there be, with any new commissioner, that they meet with the chair and staff, as we did with, Commissioner Nelson. That was more myself and our building official that had those conversations. And so want to be respectful of, the chair's time. We're always here, but I know you guys have appointments outside of this. The second one was what we had talked about this evening. I think it is referenced within the bylaws, the council representative appearing before the city council. And so those were the two that come to mind. We can certainly.
And there was the
look at those.
training one that we wanted to talk about, that we needed to talk about referencing in the bylaws. That was the third one I think we talked about.
Yeah, I don't know if we were going to specifically mention that in the bylaws, the training aspect.
It's in there now.
Okay.
So we might need to address it.
Okay, yeah. But those were the two that come to mind just for the commissioner's benefit.
And we can find them, Mr. Richards, if we need to reference the specific spots. But I would just, I would entertain a motion that we allow staff the ability to review the bylaws for conformancy, and if there are any specific changes or adjustments needed, make them.
I'd say bring it to our attention.
Yeah,
Yep.
we would certainly bring it back.
I move that the staff take a look at the bylaws, make any suggested changes, and bring it back to us for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Last thing in our new business is we need to schedule some commissioner interviews, but I don't think we have any applicants yet.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I'm not aware that we've received any. It sounded like we were ready to roll with Commissioner Van Dyke continuing here. So we have an open, we've kind of changed things too with our applications. It's a benefit hopefully for residents that it will be ongoing for both Plan Commission and Parks Commission. That it's just, we're taking them at an ongoing basis. And we will review those, and if there's no current vacancies, just hold those for when there may be a vacancy in the future. So
I shall resign whenever there's a replacement available.
So as far as the planning commission schedule, that's done now, right? We're not adhering to that anymore?
Right.
Okay.
you're always welcome at city council meetings.
Okay, so we don't have any interviews to schedule because we have no applicants. But as Mr. Kramer said, at such a time, we will get some applicants together. We have some to interview. We will talk about it at a meeting and schedule some interviews.
Yep, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, if we do receive applicants, we'd want to schedule it when we have a meeting, so we wouldn't just bring you in just for interviews. It'd probably be before a planned meeting, so we'll keep you in the loop.
Okay.
Awesome. Do we have any other new business that we didn't talk about? Any old business? Seeing none. Informational, you guys all have some meetings on your schedule. We got rid of the council representative for the city council meeting. I am gonna be gone on the 25th, guys. I do think it's probably good if one of us was there. I don't know.
I'll be there.
You're gonna be there, Mr. Kramer? I appreciate it. Just so we have a representative there this month. I'll be overseas, so. I would entertain a motion for adjournment if we have. I have a motion and a second. Any a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Good to see you
Hearing
guys.
none, motion carries.
And, thank you for an efficient meeting.
You're welcome.
Carissa?